Board Member Andrew?
We'll go to privilege of the floor. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Approval of minutes for February 9th, 2021.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from the February 9th, 2021 board meeting in the form that they appear in the board folders with the suggested changes as shown.
Can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's 4 ayes, 2 absent. It passes. I'm going to change the order of the agenda just to switch fiscal officer report with superintendent report. So Mayor of Binghamton, Rich David, is here with Chuck Shager. You're up.
I'll start, Chris, with my stuff here first. The cash flow, or the cash, we started with $5.3 million in the bank at the beginning of the year. We're up to 6.3, an increase of $1 million. Basically, everybody is paid up for the first quarter, and we paid the Village of Johnson City the money that we owe them. For last year, the reports for the end of the year, from a revenue standpoint, looks like we're going to probably miss it by about $600,000. Not sure 100% why, although I think it has something to do with the village and the city, as well as the sale of surplus equipment. We didn't sell any last year, where we budgeted $175,000.
And the FEMA.
What was that kind of?
The FEMA on the revenue.
Yes, and the FEMA, I took that out of there because the expenses didn't correlate to that. On the expense side, if you take everything out of the expenses, which is the city and village expenses, as well as the FEMA expenses, the budget for the sewer plant was about $9.5 million last year. Out of that $9.5 million, it looks like there's roughly about $1.4 million in savings, which at a very summary level, $200,000 of that was savings of wages, $400,000 on electricity, $190,000 in contingency, and $200,000 in benefits. So between the two of them, I think the municipalities that participate in the sewage treatment plant are going to see money coming back to them at the end of the year between all of them, somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million. As for the through February, the budget looks like it's running well, actually under budget. The protective clothing number is a high number, which is common. That's usually, we buy all that stuff in the first of the year, as well as the benefits, because we make a big payment to the insurance company up front. And as that runs through, we have a better percentage during the year. And I'll let you talk about the project itself, but before we do that, to minimize the amount of time that the mayor has to spend here, is I believe everyone's aware that the city went out to bid on getting a proposal to audit the CMMS system. I did send a letter to Ed explaining a little bit about it and the cost of that. I believe the mayor's talked to President Papistrak. I know Ray Standish has been involved in it with the city standpoint, and I believe Mayor Deemy has talked to the Johnson City side of it. I'll let the mayor take it from there.
Sure. Thank you, Chuck. And I would say, Mayor Deemy, feel free to jump in at some point as well. But both Mayor Deemy and I have been having this conversation for a period of time. Now that the closeout or the major construction portion of the plant is complete, we feel that it's important to, in an effort to protect the ratepayers and protect this $250 million investment, that we have someone come in and evaluate the maintenance plans that are currently in place, and also ensure, is our maintenance plan in place enough to properly care for and protect this investment. And so, what our long-term goal is to ensure that future boards, future mayors, future city councils in Binghamton and Johnson City are not ever faced, in this position again. That is resulting from decades, really. So this is not aimed at an individual or a current period of time. The reality of the situation is there's a reason we had to invest this money. There's a reason we find ourselves in the position that we are in today, and it's something that's taken place over the course of several decades. So regardless of how we got here, we are here now. We have essentially completed this project, and in an effort to protect that investment, to ensure that the useful life is maximized, we want to make sure that there is a review of the plans that are in place. I hope that review comes back that says everything's fine and perfect working order. I would hope that this would be an opportunity too for some input on ways to improve our plans to make sure that there is a multi-year plan in place that is abided by. We should look at this as a positive thing, and I would compare this to the Office of the State Controller over the course of the past year auditing the construction project. And when I first learned that the State Controller's team was coming in, it was something that I welcomed. It was something that I supported. It was something that I embraced. Because, and I know that Mayor Deemy did as well, because at a $275 million price tag, there should be an outside review. There should be an independent state party that comes in and evaluates this multi-year project. And I've said in my remarks previously that I have been notified that the audit is complete, it's being finalized, and will be distributed to the public shortly, and that the result of that is no major findings. I certainly did not have, the position that it was unnecessary, it was unneeded, it was a waste of money, it was something that should not be done. As the largest single local infrastructure project in the region with a significant environmental impact, I believe that was should have happened. And this is just a part of our due diligence to ensure that now that this project is complete, that there is a plan moving forward that protects the ratepayers for the foreseeable future and the massive investment that has been made. So I am hopeful that the board will see it for what it is, as an opportunity, an extension to ensure that this project is protected. And Mayor Deemy, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that as well.
I would just like to add, I agree with, everything that Mayor David has said. He's spot on with the reasoning behind this and why we need to do it. Just to note is, I've been advocating to make sure we have a maintenance and operation plan in place since day one, since this project started. It's always been my point to make sure this does happen, that it is in place. And as he said, this is to help future generations in regards to boards, councils, mayors, and those involved, that we do not have to ever go through this process again and have to spend, $275 million. It's only going to go up in cost as we go forward. But I've been advocating for making sure we have a good maintenance and operating plan going forward with this project since day one. So, as he said, I feel this is our due diligence to make sure we are doing what's right fiscally for the ratepayers and for everybody involved. So, again, hopefully you agree with us in regards to this audit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for either Mayor or Chuck? Anyone?
Only question I had was, and I didn't find out about this until yesterday, and looked over the RFPs. But I'm just more curious on how this audit doesn't come with, you know, the construction and everything else that has already been done, you know, whether it's the maintenance reps themselves of the equipment that comes in, and, you know, has the communication with the plant now or the board, anybody else, how it's not something that's included. Like, why is this costing extra money?
It was not part of the original bid that we sent out back in 2015 or 16.
I just had trustee Giblin that, you know, this is a different discipline of service, you know, to perform this audit undertaking than the project, you know, engineering and construction management and, you know, the construction contractors. So it's a different, you know, it's a different intellectual enterprise, so to speak. It has a different focus. You know, it's not something that's under the gun of the DEC consent order. It's something for the good of the project long term.
Okay, it just seems to me that it would come as part of the package, that's all. And if it wasn't in the contract, it wasn't in the contract. I certainly understand that.
You know, in fact, I would even add, you know, the point, I mean, frankly, it wasn't something that we thought of, sure, you know, back then. We were focused primarily on the project, getting the project complete, and now that we are, you know, essentially at that point, we're continuing to think about now the future, and this was a concept that came up. But I mean, I think your point is a valid one, and, you know, in hindsight, right, I mean, I think there's a lot of things we may have, you know, done differently, but it's, I didn't think about it back then.
Yeah, no, I don't fault you for that. That's not something that, you know, can be overdone anyway, but.
The other thing, the other thing for putting this out is it's an independent person, company. It's not affiliated with any of the contractors.
Well, yeah, but one of them.
It's an independent review.
Mr. Kobach.
Well, who is the company?
Yeah, the one that we want to go with is Veolia.
Aren't they associated with Kruger? I think they own Kruger. Yeah. So how can you say that there is no, it's a bipartisan thing? And I guess I got to ask both of you, or all of you, how's the active flow on the Biosteer working right now? That's something that's you can't do a maintenance report on because it's not running yet, or not to its potential.
My understanding is the Biosteer has been accepted. I believe there's been no problems with the Biosteer. There's been active flow problems from day one.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the phone with Larry, so maybe you can help me out.
I don't know if Ron can
But I just got through hearing Ray said that this was completely independent. So how does it become independent if this company owns Kruger and Kruger's working here?
I don't know if that would really matter, George, because they certainly would want their...
Then why did he state it?
They would want their equipment maintained in a manner that would keep it for longevity. The other thing about doing this is if we had it in the specs, it would have been one rep, another rep, another rep. We'd end up with 20 or 30 reps, and we wouldn't have anything cohesive.
I understand it. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with any of it as doing an O&M and getting the books and that stuff. And the only thing that I want to say is I've got faith in what this administration is doing, not the old administration, whoever they are. Okay? And I'll clarify it to say the old administration could be the city, the village, and the people that work here, with the neglect that went on and that stuff, and not taking care of the maintenance like it should. But what I've seen in the last year and maybe even a little bit longer than that, that the records they're keeping and what they're going over with the charts, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anyone disagrees with that, but
Well, if it's not disagreeing, why are we going out?
well, because you need an independent audit to make sure that, is there anything that we can add to it, or is everything being done properly? With the investment that's been made here, I just believe that no one should be against having an audit to make sure that things are going to be running properly.
So if the other thing, if I could add, you know, this is, you're viewing this as a determination by the owners on, you know, how we feel the current management is, and it is not. That is not what that is. So I mean, if you want me to elaborate on that, I mean, this is not an indication of the job that we feel that Elliot's doing. I've said this publicly before. I've known Elliot for a long time. I think he's a good man. I think he's working as hard as he can, and I think that the employees here are doing the best job that they can. This has nothing to do with whether we think the employees are doing what type of job the employees are doing. What this is about is that we just finished spending $275 million. And it doesn't, who's in charge of the plan is not a factor in the decision to move forward with this. The position is this project is done, and the question we want answered is, do we have the adequate maintenance plan in place? And the answer to that, it might be yes. It might be no. It might be, you know what, we have a good plan, but here's how you can make it better.
Okay.
That's the way that I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as an opportunity for us to make sure that everything that can be done will be done in the future, and that the people who are managing the plant have a roadmap in place and have the tools and resources that they need to do the best job possible on behalf of the ratepayers. And bringing in, you know, a firm, a national, international firm that is, you know, these firms that specialize or are involved in multiple wastewater plants, you know, across the country, have a lot of depth of knowledge and resources to draw from to take a look at our operations and say, and give us input. And I think that's what we're looking to do, is to make sure that this is a lot of money that we collectively, you know, are responsible for. And I'll, you know, just speak, you know, for myself on this, is that I think that this is one of the things that I need to do to ensure that I've done everything possible now that this project is complete, to ensure that this goes as long as it can. And that's not an indication, that's not a reflection on any individual or the employee. To me, it doesn't matter who's in charge, who's running it. We should be looking at this project we just completed and making sure that our plan moving forward is the best possible.
Just for the chair, I note that member Andrew.
Oh, we got Steve there?
Oh, okay.
But the,
Looks like Angela Riley
Mayor, I
is
don't
waiting
disagree
too.
with anything you said. I like what you said.
Is she on the phone
But
or in the...
how do you go
This is
ahead
right
and do
there.
something when we don't even have a completion yet on a lot of the things? I mean, and then the other question I would have, who do you? I talked with the mayor, and he sort of believes that the board should be paying for this study. Okay, how do we pay for it? We didn't go out for this information. I'm sure there's a way, but I've got to listen to it and find out. I think it was $66,300 for this.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
George, I sent Ed a thing this morning, or last night with it, I think, and I sent him one way, he had another way.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm fine with, okay? One way
You said
taking out...
contingency. Ed, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'd speak to that. The one thing, George, you know, in the climate that this plant operates in, you know, especially the news media or the internet and these message boards and stuff like that, there's so much misinformation out there that getting in a reputable company, you know, that preferably, in my opinion, like Ray said, is independent, but that may not be the case, but certainly is qualified to come in and do an independent review they need to be totally honest about their ActiFlow system, and the almost 10 tons worth of sand that has leaked out of that and gone through the pipes and the pumps and the grinders and the valves and caused excessive wear and tear on this new equipment. That's very important, but to have that kind of a baseline document that can be made public and show the public that here's an asset, yes, it's a lot of money, the environment is priceless, and we're doing everything we can to have a system in here to keep this up and running right. I think that has value. On the
Can I add something? Oh. In regards to, if you look at these RFPs we put out in regards to, this and the management of the plant afterwards, there's a short list of who does this type of work out there. I mean, that's what a lot of the problem is too, is we tend to keep getting the same people for these RFPs, even though they go out, for bid, but there's just a very short list of qualified companies that are able to do what we need done in regards to all of this. So, is it independent? More than likely, it's a different section of Veolia that will be doing this, not the part that did the ActiFlow and the Biosteer. So it is independent in one aspect. It's a different part of the company. So, but you have to look at the available companies out there that can even function with this type of work. So it's a very short list, but I feel it is. I agree with that and everybody else. This is something we need to do to be totally transparent and to prove to the ratepayer that we've done everything possible to make sure that we've spent our money, responsibly to make sure we have the best product out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, Ed, to get back to what you're saying, I don't disagree. I don't like using, I told the mayor that, using a $270 million price tag, because you're not doing the maintenance on audit on
Right.
$270 million. Well, I didn't say you did. So I'm saying, I don't think we have $50 million worth of equipment here that we're going to be doing maintenance on.
I think there's more than
You do? Between with the engineering fees and all of that, the concrete that went in there, all the thing, I don't know, but.
Well, even
I'm
so,
gonna
50
check
million,
on it.
let's say it's 50
Well,
million.
yeah,
You're spending
I
60,
know. So I'm basing it on the
60,000.
$66,000, okay?
Yeah. You can justify it.
But the one thing that I wanted to finish on is how do we pay for this? What this is a situation like we did with the digesters and some other things where we're essentially making a grant. And this benefits, the report that comes out of this benefits the board as well as the owners. One proposal was made to use a capital line, and checking into that. Under the IMA, the owners have a pretty strict definition of what a capital item is, and I don't think this study will meet that, and the business manager concurs with that. So my suggestion is that we would do a budget transfer of the $66,300 from contingency in the operating and maintenance budget, and we could do it into dormant line J81354418 Phase 3 Clerk of the Work Services, which has nothing in it right now and has been used in the past for construction project related services. Or we could rename that line, perhaps, if Munis lets us. Chuck's the expert on that. Or a different line, even just the general professional services line. But, we definitely would want to encumber this money so it's dedicated to this engagement, so the work gets paid for when it gets done to the owner's satisfaction.
So I guess where I'm a little bit confused is, if you get the owner manual of what you bought and that stuff, how is this going to change from the company that's coming to do the audit on it if we have the booklet that tells us what you have to do? Do they do something different that I don't know about, this auditing company that comes in here and says, oh no, you got to do it this way or that way?
I know nothing about the proposal.
George, they're going to take those booklets that you got and say, did you put them into your CMMS software properly? Is everything there that's supposed to be there? Are you maintaining what the manual says you're supposed to do, and then end up with a report afterward. If there's a better way to do it than what we're doing it, hopefully they tell us that. Okay?
All right.
Yeah.
Or they tell us we have the right manual.
Well, the thing is, for the amount of money, although it's not chicken feed, but for the amount of money that's invested and the amount of money that it's costing to do the audit, I think for peace of mind, it's well worth it.
Is Ray frozen? He's been frozen for a while, I think.
Chris, the other thing that's important here that I think is this should be something that's done on not an annual basis, but I'm going to say every 3-year type basis, so that it's public knowledge that the stuff is being maintained properly.
Yeah.
Is there any chance after the audit is done and they say, okay, there's about 12 different things that you need to do differently, it's going to cost X amount of dollars for us to tell you how to do it?
That's a possibility. Okay, I'm not saying that's part of the thing that they're going to give us some recommendations. Okay, but I don't think it's going to be additional money. I think it's going to be a knowledge for Elliot and his team to understand how can you do this better, how to help them.
The one thing that, I had included with the email on the budget funding, which I just gave a copy and anybody else that wants it, is the manuals that the plant has received in some cases are just draft manuals that don't have any substantive information, or it's cut off. And, this kind of audit can identify that too, to help us, get the right documentation for our employees to work from. Because that's all part of it.
Who's that?
That's Steve.
Steve.
Steve, go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve.
Have we got all the manuals and have all the proper procedures been entered at this point? And please excuse me if you've already talked about this.
No. Answer it, Elliot.
No, we don't have all of the final O&Ms. They're still coming.
Here's where I'm going with this. You hire these people, whoever they are, and they come in and say, this wasn't entered properly, that wasn't entered properly, you're not doing this properly because we haven't got the manuals or we haven't entered them properly. What, are we gonna take a hit here because this isn't completely done yet?
Steve, my knowledge of this is that the preliminary manuals, which is something that the plant has had for a long period of time, okay?
Well, please, I'm asking the people that get them and enter them, that are there every day, are they satisfied that the stuff, they have all the stuff and it's been entered properly?
So,
Anybody?
you want me to say something real quick?
Yes, please, Howard.
So, correct, we've had preliminary for a long time. Even if we didn't have preliminary, Ron Lake came to us last year, and we would go out, we would find the manuals online. So if we're aware of it, it's in the system. I'm pretty proud of the system that we put together. If there's deficiencies in it that we don't know about, hopefully this will help bring it to light. Whether we've asked for it and it's not.
So Howard, you see some value in this?
I have to hope. I mean, there's got to be some things missing. Like you said, it's a massive project, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm missing some manuals or missing parts of manuals and the things aren't there,
Howard.
and it's bigger than me.
Howard,
Yes.
the question is, do you see value in this?
That I don't know. I feel that we will hold up well to even tight scrutiny. Steve.
Well, I'm asking you, do you think we should do this?
I don't think it's necessary, but it seems like the wheels are moving, and I plan to work with whomever, and if there are deficiencies, try and bring them to light. And my hope is that it was something that was actually. I don't want to find out that there was information that was withheld, because it's hard for me to say that everything is in there when you know every percent is a numerator and a denominator. All I have is a denominator to work off of. So, to the best of my knowledge, we've got a solid system here. I really can't speak to the total package. All I can speak to is what I have. Like I said, Ron gave us a heads up last year. We have access to Prolog. I took, every opportunity to take information off of Prolog if it wasn't handed over in the proper manner. Spare parts, we did our best. The turnover was, I challenge anyone to say that it was ideal, but, given what we were given, the information was input solid.
As we've been saying, as Mayor David has said, this is not a hit on what's been done or what everybody's been doing. We can't thank people enough for the work that's been done and the hard work that everybody put into this, because we know it's a monster project. It's been a monster project since day one, and it's been, whatever you want to call it, a trip down crazy lane in a lot of senses. But I think, the way I look at this, it's no different than, if you're in school, you do a project, the teacher looks your project over when you're done. It tells you what's right, what's wrong, where you could have made better, you could have done this better, you could have done that better, you left this out, you left that out. That's the way I look at this. It's just the checks and balances. It's not a hit on anybody, and I feel it's a necessary, as we've been saying. We feel it's something we need to do. And as Howard said, it's more than he doesn't know if he has everything or what he's going to have. And hopefully we'll find, these empty spots and be able to fill them. It's more of a help than it is a hit on anybody. We want to work together to make this the best for everybody, for all involved.
It sounds like...
I'm not arguing with that. I just want to know if we got everything before we start this.
Well, that's the question. Maybe we don't know if we do or don't know. This will hopefully tell us if we do have it all, and if we are missing pieces and parts. That's what's important. We hope we have it all, we think we have it all, but maybe we don't. We're not realizing where we're missing something, because, a lot of times, as they say in the world everybody's working, you can't check your own work because you don't see your own mistakes and the things that are missing that you've done. So, and we've all been working so hard at this, it's time to have somebody else take a look at this and see where we might have slipped up, might have missed something, or, we need some help. And that's what this is about. It's about help, not the, a hit on anybody.
It's peace of mind at the end of the day.
Yeah,
You did everything you could.
Steve, to me it sounds like there is probably some value here. It's like having another tool and another set of eyes to take a look at what we've done over the last few years. I'm with Howard. I stand by what the mechanics and the electricians have done, the instrumentation techs. We have over 1,100 pieces of equipment in the CMMS. We have closed 11,483 work orders over the course of this CMMS. I know that will stand for something. I don't think this is necessarily a hit on the mechanics or the electricians or the instrumentation techs.
I don't see it that way.
Absolutely
We have
not.
to go forward looking at this like it is going to help us. We have to protect the equipment, bottom line. This is something that the owners
You're right.
want. I know everybody might feel like I might be changing lanes here, but I do see there is some value here.
I appreciate that, and if I could just, to Steve's point, if there are people that feel that this is, somehow, an attack on the plant, I don't know how to be more direct to say that, that it's not, right? And, at the end of the day, when you think about who are the people who are accountable and responsible, at the end of the day, the owners, it's not city council, it's not the trustees, where yes, you're voting on certain things, but, the mayors are the ones that are ultimately accountable and responsible for this, and Binghamton is the lead agency. So a lot of this falls directly on me. So speaking for myself, I just view this as a transparent public step that I think we need to take. And I am like, Elliot, I hope that's exactly what happens. I'm not looking for, any sort of, negative results or responses. I think this is just a baseline. And if there are things that we need to do, that we can give you the resources to do that, right? I mean, there's a history of friction, I guess just to be, blunt on this, but, at a certain point, the project is complete, and, we want you to be successful and succeed. And I think if I can speak for Mayor Deeney on this, we feel just from a public standpoint that this is a step that we have to take so that, as far as, the record is concerned, that not only did we, hand the keys over, that we have a proper plan in place, and these are things that I have to do at the city, independently of Johnson City with these capital projects, as well. But, at the end of the day, I think Ed said there's been a lot of misinformation, and regardless of why it's out there, where it came from, it's irrelevant at this point. So we're done. It's a great project. I hear nothing but positive things regards to the level of effluent that's discharged. I mean, it is a success. And you guys are running the plan on a day-to-day basis. So let's, I think Steve's point was, has all the information, been turned over? Do you have everything you need? Maybe the answer to that is no, you don't have everything. And that's part of it, making sure that everything is in place as part of this baseline. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a technical person. I'm not here on the front lines on a daily basis. And if that's the case, then that's something that needs to be corrected too.
Yeah, Mayor David made a good point there. It gives us justification to help you take care of things that need to get done that haven't gotten done or we haven't seen, didn't know hadn't been done. So it'd be great documentation, a good point of starting point for things like that going forward that come up. So again, I agree with what he's saying that we need to do this. It's something that I think is in the best interest of all
Let me just say
involved.
one thing. How long before this? If we sign this thing out and get the money, when does it start?
I think it was 2 months is how long it would take to do.
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
10 weeks, and starting like right away, or
Probably within the next few weeks, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, there's a lot of data that they're requesting up front, which is going to come from the plant. Okay, which I will share everything with everybody. We have to find someone who's going to be the key to deal with. I don't know if it's Howard or someone else is a better person to work with them to get all the data.
Yeah, George, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess to ask Chuck, was this the only bidding?
No, there was
Company
two
that
bids.
bid?
There was 2 bids.
Was the other price lower or higher?
Actually, to do exactly the same thing, higher.
Pardon?
To do the exact same thing, higher.
Yeah, but was there some stipulations in it? Because I do know the price, and I'd like you to tell the board exactly what it was. They came in at 50,000, and you can go from there.
Which did,
With Jacobs,
yes.
yeah. And what were the other conditions and that stuff?
I don't know off the top of my head, but to have them come in and actually,
Was there a $75,000 forgiveness for doing the project for the city of Bingham?
was there what?
A $75,000 forgiveness?
Not that I'm
No.
aware of.
Okay. Well, somebody knows. I wish somebody would explain to me what it is.
I don't know.
George, I think the important aspect here is we didn't go with Jacobs, we went with Viola.
Well, I understand that, and I take that into full consideration, knowing what, certain things that are going on. But I just
You want me to
curious.
explain that, George?
Yeah.
Let me find it. I can explain what they said. I've got the. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I don't want them to conveniently forget.
I think
So,
the mayor.
what it was, Eolia's proposal had 75,000 already built into it, and it wasn't 75,000. I can't get the end of this quick enough to find that. All right, they wanted to add another month on, and they wanted to bring on-site evaluations, which was part of Veolia's proposal for. They were going to add another $75,000 on Jacobs to do the on-site part of it, which I said was part of Veolia's, and they did offer to deduct $75,000 off the operational condition assessed in the first year fee for long-term contract operations, which is the other RFP. It's still out there floating that we haven't decided on yet. So that's where the 75 was going to come off of their other proposal that they did, not the project itself that we have now. So in essence, they wanted $125,000 to do the job that Veolia is going to do for $66,300.
Yep, okay.
All right.
George, I think the important thing is both mayors picked the firm that they thought was going to be the best firm to do this. And
Yeah.
when you say the word, as Ray said, independent, they maybe have equipment here, but I believe they're going to be independent.
Okay. All right, well, like I said, I've spoken to the trustees of the village of Johnson City, and they just think that it should have been built into the cost of the clerk of the works job descriptions, and nobody was around to check and see what it all was, and I agree with you, it was such a big task, it was unbelievable, it was thrown together, and I give the credit for finally that it's coming to fruition here, and I'm happy for it, and you know, I'm going to tell you right now, I was going to vote against this, but if Elliot is happy and more secure with it, I do understand it the way it's just another double check. All right, because I sure as heck don't like spending money, even if it's not my own, for something that I figured that could be done in-house, and I thought that they were doing a good job, but for safety circumstances and that, I'll go along with it just in case we did miss something.
Okay. I mean, that's what it's
Thank
all
you.
about.
Thank you.
Ed?
I just add the comment on the prudence of this is just as prudent as each and every one of us going to see the doctor for a checkup on a regular basis. You know, I mean, it's, you know, we want to be able to run in the long term.
When you were young, you never did that or thought of that. Well, okay.
Well, if we wind this thing down, then everybody seems to be in some kind of agreement. You want to make a motion on that, Ed?
All right. I make a motion that the board approves a transfer in the 2021 operating and maintenance budget in the amount of $66,300 from budget line J8130.55000 contingency to J8130.54418, currently titled Phase 3 Clerk of the Work Services, but could be retitled if the owners would recommend doing so, and in order to be encumbered for maintenance overview engagement. I'm not sure exactly what the name of the contract will be, and that the corresponding request for legislation be submitted to the owner's legislative bodies as soon as possible.
Second.
Who is that? Steve? We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, can we have discussion before we take a vote on it?
We were having a discussion.
Well, no, after you have a first and a second, you normally, and I don't mean it to get, I just want to ask legal counsel if there is anything that you think that we're doing inappropriately here.
Well, I mean, I heard about this for the first time today, so I haven't read a single thing about it. I don't know what the scope of the project is. I don't know who was involved in developing the scope of the project, whether the plant or the board had any role in it whatsoever. I don't know what the board or the plant's role is going to be during the course of this project. Is there going to be any input from the plant? Who is going to be making the decisions during the course of the project? Is the board or the plant going to have any role in communicating with the contractor? I just don't know the answer to any of these questions. I don't even know who the contracting party is. Is it going to be the board
Or is it gonna be the city, the village, or the city and the village? I don't know any of that. So for me to really comment upon any legalities of it, I can't, because, there's just so many questions that are unanswered, and I don't know.
I mean, again, this is like the money that we had appropriated for digester work, you know, that we made budget transfers, and it was money that funded projects that the owners carried out. But it's already been in discussion here, it's been pointed out that the party to whom the contract is awarded is going to be looking to the superintendent and his staff for some data. So, you know, the plant definitely is going to be involved and has a definite interest in this, you know, moving forward, and that there being accurate information exchange.
But who's going to be their boss? Is it going to be the plant here, Elliott, or is it going to be the city? That's all I want to know.
Well, I just have a question, you know, along what Al's questioning was, is there still a party involved that has the authority, if the information is missing, to extract that from the appropriate parties, so that we can complete all the pieces of the puzzle? I mean, I've shared everything with Kathy Nelson downtown, so she knows the O&Ms that I'm missing. You know, what is missing, you know, bad as it sounds, you know, I Googled it, or we've got YouTube videos uploaded to our system, but those aren't official documents. Is there still a party involved that can close the loop completely?
We're still trying to get those out. Kathy's still working on it. And a lot of that is from, we don't get the final O&Ms until after GHD signs off after the equipment testing and the testing results and all that stuff are in the manual. The preliminaries are like that, except they don't have the testing information. But GHD has to sign off on them, and I think there's some that they haven't.
So then they officially can't start until we get all the OMs?
Well, they probably shouldn't start till we have, they probably shouldn't start till we have everything ready to
Well,
go.
you have the preliminaries, you just don't have to.
There's no reason why they can't start now, whenever they get a contract signed. And if there's a manual missing, it'll be noted in the audit, and there'll be a recommendation that be obtained. This isn't a finger pointing audit. This is a review of procedures and what's missing and what's not missing. It's a tool to help the plant. This isn't a hunt to try and find issues with people or anything like that. This is an audit to assist the plant moving forward. I wrote the RFP for Al's, so Al knows where it came from. I wrote it. I put it together.
And George, to your question is, I think the contract should be with the owners, whether it's the village or city, okay? But there's gonna have to be key contacts at the plant, whether that's Elliott or Howard. That's who these guys are gonna communicate with on a regular basis. I mean, there's nothing that the city or village can really add to the system itself, okay?
Why are you against us having the authority with it instead of the city?
Why do you want it?
Huh?
We want it to be transparent.
Are you saying it wouldn't be?
Wow.
No, I mean, the owners are initiating this.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And then the owner should pay for it.
Exactly.
But it's still a cost associated with the operation of the plant, so that by financing it through the sewage board budget, it gets distributed to the ratepayers in the proportion of the flows to the municipal users. So, I mean, that concept in my mind is, sound. It's a cost of doing business.
See, I think part of the issue here is you're looking at us is opposing parties here, right? Who should pay for it, the owners or the board? We should be one and the same, right? We're all supposed to be working together on this on behalf of the plan. And every time we come closer to moving together, there's a wedge that's moving in the other direction. So, you want to be involved? You can be, George. You want to be involved? You want to have input on this? Sure. Right? I mean, we're not. We don't have anything to hide.
Right.
Right.
No, that's what I'm hoping, that it's
Right.
like an equal thing.
If you
It's
want to
not-
come here and
it's
talk
not
to
everything
you
goes
want
to
to
the
talk to
city
them? You
and-
want to give input? I mean, sure.
Okay.
That was my whole point. I thought the manufacturers or
Yeah,
somebody else
I mean,
should
like-
be paying for it. That's all.
I mean, I'm not a technical person. I'm not going to be talking to them on the phone every day. I'm not going to be the one having involvement. I mean, I think, what Chuck just said, I mean, Elliot or somebody else that's a contact of the plant, should be the primary person. I mean, that's,
Yeah, well,
I don't know why we would want anybody else to do that.
I'll go along with that, okay? But when Chuck said that you'd go to the city, that's where I
Well,
thought.
let me give you a reason why, George. If Viola has a problem getting data, I want them to come to someone that if it's me or the mayor,
Oh, did you trust?
no, that I can make a phone call. Ellie, what do we got to do to get this information?
I think we want to be aware of what's going on.
Oh, no.
That's all we're
I
saying.
want it sent to both. I just don't want, but I just
You
don't
can be
want-
aware too.
Okay.
Because you're the one that we're going to call if there's a problem. Now,
Yeah.
which is fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. And I'm not even saying he's not even saying that there's going to be a problem. He just wants to know in real time
No, I
if
agree.
there's an issue, so that or a question about something, so that he can respond to it.
So, in other words, the owner manuals that are lagging or that behind, they'll just follow and suit after they get turned in when GH, because they can start the study and do the other ones that we do have the information on, correct?
Right.
George, I'll be the first to say, if there are owner manuals that are not being turned over, that should be turning over, that's
Yeah.
causing a problem,
Right.
that needs to be identified and resolved.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Yep.
right?
So-
I don't know how to be clear about that.
Kathy and Howard are doing that right now.
One of the biggest things about owner's manuals, accepted owner's manuals from the engineers, is the baseline test data. We have an issue with MACO at the moment. We don't have any of their baseline test data. They also used a third party, HMT, who is a company out of Cicero, New York, that tested all of the breakers, all of the conductors. Without that information, the information that we get when we go up to a piece of electrical equipment, it's basically we're seeing our information as the baseline, because we don't have a true baseline of what it was like when it was brand new. Some of this equipment is already 2 years old. Most of the equipment that we have is already out of warranty, which is tragic because it was already out of warranty when it was put in, prior to it even being turned on.
That's not true, Elliot. Just so you know, a lot of these manufacturers, or let's say Matco, okay, had to get extended warranties. So if they bought something in 2016, it didn't get installed until 2019, the warranty started in 2019, not 16.
Okay, well, see, that's information that I don't have. We don't know. We don't know when the warranty starts, so we don't even know who to call as part of the CMMS. You know, in the CMMS, if something is under warranty, we would call the vendor and say, hey, look, this is the piece of equipment we have, this is serial number, we need a warranty replacement. It failed. Here's the pictures, blah, blah, blah. You know, go about your normal way of doing business with this. So, right now, we were told that the UPS system and the BAF, which it's a very big system. It's not like a desk UPS. Okay, this thing is the size of a large refrigerator. So we were told by Matco that that warranty had already expired before they put it in. That's the information we have. We don't have an O&M manual, an approved O&M manual that tells us different. These are the things that Howard's asking for, that electricians are asking for, mechanics, you know?
Who are they asking, Elliot?
Well, they asked me, we asked Ron, we asked GHD, where are the O&Ms? Where are the test results? We need them. We've been begging for them. You know, that's, when you ask for as-built drawings or approved O&Ms, that's what you're asking for. You're asking for the entire package, not just how to do the maintenance. You know, everybody is a Google expert, so you Google that stuff and you're going to find some information that pertains to that piece of equipment. Is it the right information? Sometimes. Square D is very particular, and they have many, many versions of the same breaker. So we need to ensure that we have the right breaker. We don't even have the coordination study yet. And the coordination study basically tells you or the electrician that installed the equipment what to set the trip settings on each breaker is. Without that information, if we have a catastrophic failure of a piece of equipment, we could trip the main breaker of the whole facility. Some of these breakers are very, very sensitive. I think, Mr. Lake, you could back me up on that?
Yes, they are. And you're not going to get record drawings until GHD has all of them, or all
And
the red line drawings.
That's what we're asking is, could you
I know.
put some pressure on GHD to expedite the turnover process? That's all I'm asking. I'm not pointing any fingers or any of that. It's just, you've asked me what you could do to help this project move forward. That right there would be a huge service to us.
You talk about the study, but, and you don't have it, and I'm not sure GHD has approved it yet. So.
This is something that we've been asking for this stuff, and GHD's been asking Matco for it, and Jacobs was asking Matco for it in every single construction meeting that I attended. They've been asking for this information for 4 years.
Well, it took 2 years or 3 years to get them to do it.
Exactly. So, you know, I don't know if GHD can put some pressure on Matco or what, you know, but it needs to get turned over. So we can put it in the CMMS. We can put in the actual breaker settings for everything. And we can protect the equipment that we all paid for.
Elliot, can you send Ron and I a list of what the electrical stuff is that you, we may have a little pull with Matco right now.
Okay, great. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
It'd be nice if we could get them to finish up whatever they're doing here. Because it looks like their warehouse out there again. Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of extra stuff that we had to get finished up.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. We've had a discussion. Are we ready to take a vote on this, on the $66,300? All in favor of transferring the money for the RFQ? Right? Is that what it is?
Aye.
RFP.
Aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Seeing none? Is that 5 that we have here?
Yes.
501.
Mr. Chairman,
passed.
we have both mayors here, and I've got to ask them something so that
All right.
they know about this. And it has to do with the TPS. I talked with Ron Lake earlier, and that stuff. I've mentioned it plenty of times. But I just want both mayors to know if it gets flooded and damaged, we can't get insurance because of the statement of special inspection by the engineer or the architect of the project, and talking with Ron Lake, he says they can't get one. Now, we got it, that's the only thing that's holding us up. And if we don't get the flood protection, what are we gonna do? Who's gonna pay for the damage?
I will talk more with Ron about it.
Okay, thank you. I just want to bring it to your attention. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank
All
you,
right.
George.
Gentlemen?
You're welcome.
Yeah.
There's a
Thank you,
similar
everybody.
situation with the flood wall certification also.
I think they got that. They got the last thing I got, thank you. The last thing they are only missing is this now, according to the last document.
The flood wall here.
Yeah, well, that's all taken care of, if I'm not mistaken.
As far as FEMA.
Oh, not by FEMA? Oh, okay.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
All right, see you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elliot, go
I
back
think
to...
Chuck wanted me to do the lead agency financial report,
Okay.
if that's all right. If it's not, we'll do it with it. So in your folders, you have the lead agency's chart report and graph report as of February 28, 2021. Through the end of February, the contractual approved amount with change orders since July 2011, $275.888 million. Of that, $259 million has actually been approved to pay out to contractors and vendors, and there's about $8.4 million in retainage as to construction contracts. Page 2 gives you the professional services, shows you the status of those contracts, which collectively are 99.6% approved for payment. Pages 3 and 4, the construction contracts, which collectively are 92.7% approved for payment of the total. And when you take the retainage into account, it's 96.3%. So that's where those stand. The graph report gives you kind of a visual graphic depiction of the dry numbers in the chart report. There's pages 2 through 4 are bar graphs for each contract. My contact information is at the bottom, pages 2 and 4 on both of these reports. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And if there's no questions, that's in the interest of time, that's my summary report for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Elliot?
Evening.
Good evening.
In your package, you will find the superintendent's report.
So, to save some time, we just are using the weekly plant status for tonight's superintendent report. I'm not going to bore you with everything. The Headworks project. We are moving forward with the compactor refurbish replacement project. Howard has more details on that. I will let him speak to that. Most everything is running fairly well. The micro turbines, we're in contact with RSP. They are the new vendor taking over the maintenance of the gas skid and the micro turbines. They're going to try to resolve our automatic issue there. so perhaps we can run on pressure instead of volume. Active flow is a big heartache for us, and Kruger, I suppose. The sand loss has not gotten any better. All of the things that are being tried every day that they request us to do, Adam and his guys are out trying to take care of that for them. They've made several program changes, and still we are having issues there. SIPs. We're starting to see some leaks in the roof. Jacobs was made aware of that. That is also true at the plant water system building. Biosteer, we had an operator bring up, it looked like the area around the H line was leaking pretty heavily when we were having a snow and rain event there. Jacobs was made aware of that as well. Just before the meeting started, number 4 influent actuator had a catastrophic failure on CN4. The mechanics will replace that tomorrow with a spare that we have available, and hopefully be able to send the other one out for warranty. Methanol is working fairly well. They have changed the Biosteer to incorporate mini backwashes, and the only result that we've seen from that so far has been an increase in the nitrate going out into the river. So tomorrow we have a meeting with Kruger, and we'll discuss that and how to correct that issue before it gets out of hand. Also with methanol, the storm down in Texas appears to have affected the supply of methanol, and we were contacted by our methanol vendor that nothing as of right now has happened, but there is a chance that we may be restricted on how much methanol we can purchase. And that would be devastating to our process. So we have asked them if they have an alternate chemical, and that chemical would be ethanol and or perhaps used methanol. Ron has been working on the WTC, which is just a water treatment chemicals report for the DEC, and he has been able to send that ethanol C of A up to Valerie for consent to use that in an emergency. I want to make the board aware of the fact that ethanol is considerably more expensive than methanol. Ethanol costs, budget pricing from SPS is $5 a gallon. I think we all know that we're paying about $1.26 a gallon for methanol. And we're averaging around 1,100 gallons a day. So that's something that is completely out of our control, but we have researched with our vendor. We'll look for other vendors as well if necessary. We also would have to get this past Kruger because this would definitely affect their process.
Do our tanks and line, are they suitable for ethanol? Isn't that a little more
All of the equipment that we have in place is suitable for ethanol. All the rubber, all of our pumps, our bulk storage tanks, the delivery system. It would be a little bit less ethanol than methanol. So the problems with ethanol come with the price, number one, and number two, it produces more solids. So we would have more solids to deal with. Mr. Crum.
I just have a question. I think this is more for legal counsel than anybody else. I think there's a provision in the contract that if the vendor cannot furnish, that they're responsible for any difference in price. But, you know, as a practical matter, we need the chemical. So it seems to me that it would be prudent for the board to perhaps advertise for methanol supply on a standby basis, or just advertise for it and then award it on a standby basis, so that we have multiple sources should we need in order to keep the system supplied. So I just, you know, make that comment for consideration.
Elliot, is this a temporary problem?
As far as I know, yeah.
Any idea how long we're talking?
How long before Texas gets all their gas production up and running? I have no idea. It's commodity. And yes, they have to eat it if they are delivering methanol to us, but if they are restricted from purchasing methanol, they can't deliver methanol to us. I don't know what the legal ramifications are of that, or if we have any recourse. Al?
And if they haven't,
I don't have an answer.
Okay.
How soon before that becomes critical? I mean,
Well, like I said, we have storage tanks that contain 20,000 gallons. So that's about 18 days worth. If this becomes a problem, it's going to be an emergency. And we're going to have to act fast. That's why we've already sent up the ethanol C of A to Valerie at the DEC. Every chemical that we use here that's different than something that we've already been using has to pass muster with the DEC. We've also looked into used methanol, which SPS can get a hold of, but it also has other contaminants in it that the DEC may not approve of. So we just got a C of A for that. That will be going up tomorrow to the DEC.
but by 18 days, things could get back to normal.
well,
I would hope, but
if he's full, but you're not full. You
No,
don't have 20,000.
we can only take like 7,500 gallons a week.
Right.
Let's just hope things get back to normal, that's all. I mean,
That's a full tanker. Yeah.
It's not a question that there was any severe like storm damage, but the infrastructure that powers the
Texas.
refinery, distillery, or whatever, you know, combination thereof you've got that creates the methanol, you know, it's impacted that way. It doesn't have that power to run it.
Okay, so yeah, DNs, we've already talked about that. UV systems running fairly well. Plant water system, chemical storage system is running okay. We do have a question on the wiring of a, Howard, correct me if I'm wrong, auto trap primer?
Yeah, so the trap auto prime in the chemical building is just not wired up, and that's just to make sure that the heat traps in the building never run dry. They drain in right into the 54 inch. So, if they were, it gets pretty quick. And everything's in place, it's just not wired up.
Alrighty. So as you can see from our chart here, this is the first chart, Superintendent's Report for February 2021. CBOD is 11, that's 95% removal. Total suspended solids, 97% removal. Settleable solids, 99.9, 100% removal. Total nitrogen, right now we're averaging 2.3 milligrams per liter. Obviously that's coming up because of the nitrate levels getting higher. We typically run somewhere less than 1, and right now we're up at about 2.25. So that translates into total nitrogen of a bit more than that. Could be up around 4.5. So we want to make sure that we get that taken care of quickly. Phosphorus.
As a winter number, though, that's very good.
Yeah.
Historically.
Yeah. Phosphorus.
Not ideal, but it's very good.
Yep. Phosphorus, we're averaging 87% removal. Landfill, 549 tons. Grit and screenings, 12 tons. The next two reports are just there for history, so you guys can get an idea of what the trend looks like. And the next chart that is attached to your report is 2018 to 2021 effluent total nitrogen. And basically I wanted to show everybody the trend for total nitrogen. Obviously you can see it's as of April 2020 when we started our new permit. It was the first time that we've met the permit in 9 years since the wall fell down. Prior to that, we met the permit a total of 15 times since the inception of that total nitrogen level. 15 times back between 2007 and 2011. Right now, this next chart covers the 2020, 2021 total nitrogen. And then we show you the CBOD from 2020 to 2021, where we're handily meeting that limit of 18 milligrams per liter. TSS, you can see that's in the cellar as well. We have a limit of 20 and our average is quite low. Threw this one in for Ed. This is the influent average flow for the months between 2020 and 2021. And then next chart, it's near and dear to my heart, the 2020 to 2021 microturbine production. So we are recovering from the startup of digesters 1 and 2. We have begun adding the gas to the microturbine gasket. So I'm happy to say we are able to run 4 microturbines, and at times when we're running 4 microturbines, we're also burning off gas because we have excess, enough to run 5.
Well, how come 5 isn't running yet?
5 will never run unless the water system is
Increased?
redone. And I think that we've talked about that plenty of times.
Okay, all right.
It's the supply of the cooling water that maybe the pipes or the pumping is not sufficient to get enough water through that system to create the exchange of cool water to run the fifth turbine.
Right, the volume.
Yeah.
It sounds
We
to
need
me like
150.
an engineering design issue that probably the agency's going to have to solve for us.
So in other words, what you're thinking, that the pipe is undersized?
I think that's
It's
what we've been
feeding it.
told based
Yeah.
on experience, that they can't get the
So-
volume of cool water through there.
So we don't need a study on that one turbine, because we're never gonna run it until we get it.
Well, you're rotating.
Well,
some,
we're rotating them, but we're basically losing about 1/5 of the maintenance budget there.
Well, our energy,
Yeah.
what we turn in to produce the electricity. Since
So-
we got enough of gas now.
That's all I have unless somebody has questions.
Is there any question for Ron to consider, is whether there's any recourse against PG for engineering malpractice? On the sizing of the pipe?
All I can say is we paid him twice for that. He takes the duties on it.
And I forgot a page here. So for anybody that cares, this week we have 61 work orders due this week. Last week the mechanics and electricians closed 160. We have a quantity of 32 miscellaneous open non-critical work orders. Every day that number changes. And every day it goes up, every day it goes down. Staffing, we're looking for an electrician. If anybody knows somebody that will work and has the qualifications, I'm all ears for the money.
Master electrician or just electrician?
We need a journeyman electrician. That's the qualifications to work at this facility, according to the civil service document. We started an operator trainee last Monday. He's doing pretty good. We have an operator trainee starting tomorrow. We have our sights set on a mechanics assistant. This guy actually should have been a mechanic, but I guess there was something wrong with the wording, the way that the qualifications are being read. 8 trucks to the landfill. Mechanics are training on the gas skid. They're doing some review training. We've already had this training. We're utilizing the handouts that were given to us and the video. Construction, still waiting for the O&Ms from Matco. They actually have in their possession the last stormwater pump VFD. We're waiting on that. We're waiting on the as-built drawings. Again, bollards. So Howard might be able to talk about the bollards a little bit more. He reached out to Binghamton Precast, right, Howard?
Oh yeah, they're booked out. I think Ron's got a beat on something.
Okay,
Yeah, we got a source in Pennsylvania
awesome.
Well, for bollards?
for Jersey barriers.
Jersey barriers, okay. Did you ever try the one in Elmira?
No,
Okay, I'll try that. What are you looking for? What size? 8 footers, 4 footers, what?
all different size.
If you can give me the size, I'll call up and find out. I forget the name of it. It's in my phone book though, but it's out of Elmira.
All right. The Pennsylvania one, we can get them in 2-foot lengths or 10-foot.
Oh, yeah, well, I think you can get them in 8, 6, and all different type of sizes. Okay, but like I said, if you need a smaller size, really, Barney and Dick's that turn around, you wouldn't call them Jersey barriers, but those are the wall stackers that you see. They come in 4 and 8 foot lengths, and I believe that'd be a lot cheaper for you. And you know, a yard of concrete weighs, according to them, a yard of concrete after it's cured weighs 4,000 pounds. I don't believe that, but I use the thing of 3,200 per cubic yard.
They might already be ordered, George. I'll see tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right.
We're trying to get things finished up as quick as possible.
I've been told the cover installation on primary 1 through 6 started yesterday.
Really? Okay. That's good news.
Is that your understanding, Ron?
It was going to start, and they were looking for the old covers, which apparently don't exist. So now they're going to have to take the ones that you have, which don't fit, and they're going to have to modify them.
I thought we were getting new covers.
We got new covers on 7 through 10.
Oh, okay.
And then they've reused the covers for 1 through 6. We had covers.
Nobody can find them.
They must went to the scrapyard.
We were hoping.
Germaine to Chuck Shager's second email about capital money. The work in the primary settling tanks 1 through 6, it should be pointed out, until the contractor's work gets done out there, we can't touch that. You know what I mean? So that's important for the owners to understand, you know, which I hope we'll discuss later, but I'm just bringing it up now since you're talking about 1 through 6.
I had hoped that Howard would touch on that.
Yeah. I was hoping Chuck was still here.
Yeah, a couple of last things. We're still waiting for 30-day performance tests on ActiveFlow. As soon as we can get all of this stuff done, we can get our consent order removed. I know that I think Jacobs was working on the Fonzie paperwork. Is that a truism?
That's what I mentioned before. Yeah.
Okay.
And the you know, certification by one engineer that's related to that.
Yeah, it's pretty important for us.
Right. Because we have certification by 2 engineers for different parts so far.
And
You're going to get a new one from GHD just for the flood.
Right, I know you're working on it.
it's important that we know exactly when that happens. So when I report to the DEC, I know when to adjust my annual reports to indicate that we're not under consent order anymore.
Okay. I'm hoping to have the one from GHD tomorrow.
Okay. So the new kind of hot topic is the plant water system and SIP's pump room roof leaks. Are you aware of those?
No. But
Okay.
I'll check it out tomorrow.
All right.
But
I know that Jacobs is aware.
You made Jacobs aware, right?
Yeah.
Frank knows.
I want to make sure that
Actually,
Ron
you
is
should
aware.
go through him and let him go to Jacobs and do the thing, because Jacobs is just going to let go from one ear to the other. Let him put the pressure on him.
And, you know, for morale, if you could look into the H-line issue, because water, I went down there and water was spraying out of there like nobody's business. It was coming out like water out of your hose.
Yeah, when were you there?
Prior to Brendan going over there with some wet patch, from what I understand.
I understand that it stopped.
Okay.
I got pictures of it today. I don't see any signs of leakage. I'm gonna
Okay.
send them to you, Ron.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
you say the H line?
Yeah.
Not that.
Could be groundwater.
Well, it wasn't coming directly from H line, but a penetration in the wall that penetrates the H line. So it's a pipe that goes through the H line.
Oh, okay.
So it was shooting out. So we know it's from that area.
So they got some hot concrete and put it in it?
I'm not sure what they did.
Some kind of water plug.
Just a water plug?
I don't know.
God, I wish they'd just turn around and get 5 gallons of anhydro in Portland and do like I said, and they won't have the trouble again.
Hopefully they did.
Euclid speed plug with the problem.
Okay.
That's setting hydraulic water.
Okay.
So did I
That's all I got. Sorry it was so long tonight.
Why? You did good.
Okay.
We're not used to leaving here before 6 anyway.
Well, we could try.
I'm sure we did. I'm sure we did.
Charlie?
I have it noted that Aviva has left
You know what time she checked out?
about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, the business manager report is in your folder. We did get all the flow reported files back from the municipalities, and went through those. I presented them to Ed, to the flow committee. And we compromised on a couple things, and there was a conversion difference. So what is attached here is the agreed upon numbers, which weren't substantially different.
Consensus number.
Yeah. I did misspeak in Conklin, I'm not sure, I just plugged the 0, that's my fault. So I would ask the board to approve the flows that are presented in the package here. They're less than the 2019, but it's accountable for. We were anticipating a big decrease at SUNY Binghamton because they haven't had the students in-house, and the others changed a bit. Nothing alarmingly so.
You have in your folders the chart that I mailed out that shows you the difference on the right-hand side for 2019, so that everybody can see what that does. So, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the board ratifies the 2020 billable wastewater flows in the amount of 3,061,948 cubic foot units, as detailed in the 2020 flow table that was prepared by the business manager, and that the same be certified and provided to the fiscal officer for use in preparing the 2020 final billing.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Crum, seconded by George.
Oh, I didn't realize I said that so good.
Yeah, boy, heaven's open.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Five.
501.
501, thank you.
Also, in the folders is the draft of the actuarial valuation. This is the revised draft. There were some questions in the first one regarding the census and some of the retiree information. So we addressed those. And the good news is it's a substantial less liability recognized for what we have to have the EFPR group put on our books for a balance. That again is anticipated because we did change insurance carriers and we're saving considerably in the retiree portion. Mr. Crum did mention the inflation rate used is higher than we think would be necessary, but the operation of this report is to make sure we're well and truly covered for any potential pension requirements.
Well, and the other thing too is that this is an inflation rate for health insurance,
Which
it's always higher than the normal consumer inflation.
I would say, as it's overall reducing and we're still covered, I would encourage the board to approve this.
I mean, that's a conservative approach, so,
Yes.
it protects us. Did we get an answer about the footnote 13 assumption, or the assumption 13 on page 25?
I didn't forward that, because unfortunately I just saw it just before the meeting.
Okay.
But I will send
Yesterday,
that.
but I know you've been busy with the flows, which,
Yep.
I should note on the flows too, Charlie did a heck of a job this year, and returns our appreciation for that. Under the pandemic conditions and the coordination that has to be done to get all this data from the municipalities and get a quality control, quality assurance check, that's a big job, and he did a great job with it this year.
There's a yummy beer in it for him somewhere.
Oh, hey.
What does that do?
No, it's just,
I agree.
Right, it's always good to notice. We notice how, when you do good
everybody
things,
works
George,
hard, that's noteworthy stuff.
According to my wife.
That's your problem. The issue on page 25 in assumption 13, which is the administrative expense included in the premiums used. There is administration in the health insurance premiums that come from Excelis and Aetna, but there's also some administrative expenses included in the workbook that we do internally to allocate the costs of the program, like the NFP Tom Soroka costs.
Yeah.
There's also costs for testing, and that goes through accounting type agency for purpose of non-discrimination testing. There's also administrative costs through Lifetime for the HRA and the flex plan and things like that. So, they're not big ticket items in proportion to the health insurance premiums, but they're dollars. And so the question is, to make this correct, is that something that needs to be accounted for before this is finalized and approved? I think we need to know that. The other comment I think I had was in one place they just referred to the Blue Cross as the insurance, and they forgot about the Aetna, the retirees. And that's material information that I think needs to be. That's on page 5 at the top, number 1, plan types. So I would encourage that these items be run through Jefferson Solutions before we ratify this. I know we want to get it done. If we needed a special meeting,
What is the deadline for this?
The agreement had it March 1st. No, we didn't get it. The FPR group hasn't said. Maybe they could do this as the last.
that's really the deadline, is that it be available for them when they start their work on site.
Yeah, I don't think it takes them long to put them on the room.
It really doesn't affect the audit part of it. It affects the liability calculation, because they just take the number, whatever.
Okay.
Well, when do we have to have it voted on by?
Sometime before you want the audit back.
Well,
Nobody told me a deadline.
oh.
Would
Will it be all right to vote on by the next meeting, or do we have to call a special meeting?
I don't know how long the FPR group is on the audit. They've been doing that in the city.
Our next meeting is April 13th.
You know that the AUD is not due until May 1st, right? So there's certainly time between April 13th and May to, for the service provider to take the numbers and all that stuff.
Like I said, if we gotta call a special meeting for some reason, we just do it.
It's not a big deal. We can do that.
Okay.
Construction, Mr. Koba and Steve.
Really, are you too, Charlie? Wow, that's beautiful. Well, I think I said about everything that I had to say. The only thing is that the one thing I didn't mention on the bills when I checked them, I don't know whether Ed got in here and checked them, but Charlie forgot to attach the wage prevailing, but if he had everything and everything was in with the contractor, and we attached it so that nobody else had any questions. And outside of that, I think I spoke my piece here at this, but the one thing that I want to find out because I'm hearing so many different things, and I don't know if we have time now, is how long do people get appointed for?
Oh, that's coming up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. How'd you know?
Because it's on the sheet.
Oh, I guess I didn't read the sheet that far. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's why you're the chair. Okay, you read.
Under new business.
Ed, finance.
Okay, on finance. The 2020 close has been a significant item of work for the Finance Committee of late. In your board folders and emailed for our remote participants, provided a summary chart on the FEMA from the September 2011 flooding, which is 11 by 17 chart. This shows the major active, that haven't been closed out project worksheets, FEMA obligated amount, the amounts that have been requested, and then we break down in the light green column requested for damages, which charges against the obligated amount column, and then requested for DAC in the blue, which doesn't charge against the obligated amount, and then the amount received, and then a breakdown with the pink and yellow between how much is FEMA and how much is state money that we've received. And as you can see at the bottom, we're now back in sync. The state is caught up, so that the 25% state share and the 75% FEMA share is in line. And then as we get to the right-hand side, that's where the real current issues are. We have over 17 million that's unpaid and outstanding right now from what's been submitted. Some of that is as much as 500 days since submittal. A lot of it is as much as a year or more since submittal. This page that's in the board folders is the cover page to a 16-page workbook. Page 2 is not done yet because it's an aging analysis. That's why I wouldn't have put the whole workbook in paper in the folder anyhow, but I would have emailed it. So hopefully later this week that's going to be done and everybody will get a copy of it. I really think we're getting to the point where we need some outside help politically. The smaller chart that's inside the 11 by 17 folded inside is a summary of the right-hand side of the chart. What's out there that's submitted and due to the owners and to the board, because that detail's not in the larger chart. That's just an aggregate amount, as well as the amounts to be submitted, which are in comparison at this point pretty small. But there's a lot out there. Back in November 16th, I believe it was, we were notified that New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services has contracted out the servicing of our project worksheets to a company called Tidal Basin Consultants, which is a division of Adjusters International. And so far, that hasn't borne any fruit for us. They're working on it. Howard Weaver is answering questions for them. So it's being worked on, which is a good sign. But it may behoove us to work with the owners and through the mayors and the legislative bodies and this board to be in contact with our state representatives, since where we are right now is in a state process. Through Senator Akshar, Assemblywoman Lepardo, and the new Assemblyman.
Well, how much money did FEMA actually pay, but it went to New York State and they haven't reimbursed? Do you have any idea how much money that is?
For us?
Yeah. Because I think that's what I want to ask the senator first, is the money has been dispersed by FEMA.
Yeah.
Right, it's 75%.
75? Okay.
So it's like, I would say there's probably at least 15 and maybe $17 million of FEMA money, federal money,
Right.
that the federal government has paid to the state.
And
It's supposed to be in a tropical storm lead trust fund for this plan.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's others out there too that are still hanging on.
Right.
That's out there, and they may be getting some interest on it, but our owners, because they're not getting reversed, they can't pay off the bonds, so they're paying interest on bonding. So it's a little more hit than just the cash amount.
Okay. All right. Well,
So it's really important, and Chuck Shager is also trying to do some work, on our behalf. But it's not a good situation.
no.
FEMA's never been a good situation, but the idea in the climate of the world, and specifically our locality, the idea that you can do this through the state agency as a bunch of people that are, recent retirees, temporary help type thing, there's going to be a continuous workload of disasters. If you look at the flooding up along Lake Ontario, downstate Long Island, New York City, and the disasters down there, Hurricane Sandy, Superstorm Sandy, I guess is the proper way to call it. It's just, if the program's going to be there, it's got to work. It's the same as our plant or anything else. Anyhow, that's finance. If there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them. I can fill in for Ron when you get there.
All right, Steve.
Really?
There is something in the folders on that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
We're looking to hear from Steve on personnel.
The union took our last proposal under advisement, and we haven't heard from them since.
Well, that's a good sign.
Maybe.
No, it's not a good sign. It's a good sign if we had an agreement.
All right. You have something for Ron, you said?
Yeah, on ad hoc, I would just call your attention in the area of cybersecurity. In your folders, you have the
See the BEC deliveries?
It says emailed to some people. But this cybersecurity alert, and there's some references there, and I've sent a copy on to Larry and Elliot, and it has a detail of the Florida water treatment plant down in Steve's neighborhood.
That's not very far away from me.
Oldsmar, Florida.
Yeah.
You're not a suspect, though.
And where were you on February 2nd?
But I mean, it's an interconnected world, and so,
That's always-
vigilance is important.
Yeah, that's always going to be an issue.
So, for awareness, it's important that, we all know about this, brought it up at a board meeting, and Larry's here to help us.
It's on the top.
He's got a full plate. That's it, Hawk.
Okay.
I just want to give you something on Ron to share with the board, is that now he's at general. And
Rehab.
Yes.
And he's doing therapy and learning how to walk again. So,
Poor guy. I tell you, he's
I
just
know.
one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet.
so
It's a shame.
talked with the mayor a little bit today, and it might have to be a replacement for him on the board.
Yeah.
Is he in the TC unit, the going out the door unit, do you know? My sister works there, and I'll let her know.
I don't know yet. The wife doesn't know, and I can't get the information because I'm not related. So I will try, and if I do,
I'll just let her know so she can give him an extra smile or two, and
Yeah.
howdy. She's
That would be
she's good like that.
Yeah, if she's working on the fourth floor up there, she'd be able to look at the patient record.
Yeah, she will, but I don't talk about
Yeah, no, I know.
stuff.
It's HIPAA.
Yeah, but I'll tell her if that's a, yeah.
Flow management, Mr. Crum?
In the flow management area, I just bring to people's attention the series that Gannett ran from February 21st through 28th on the Chesapeake Bay. I've been able to take that documentation, and it's in PDF, but it's too big to email. But if somebody's interested in that, we could get it printed out. The thrust of their reporting was mostly to point the finger at Pennsylvania.
Yay.
And that's not necessarily going to solve anything. But the point is that we're coming up on in September 2025, I think it is, the end date for the states to achieve compliance with the total maximum daily load regulations, and otherwise backstops go into effect if those aren't met. And it seems from what Gannett's reporting, and you can't always believe what you read in the newspaper, but they're probably pretty accurate on this, that Pennsylvania is maybe not in line to meet their requirements. In other words, concerned about New York, and our plant had kind of a big role in that because we're about 22% of the wastewater sector discharge, but there's a lot of farmland also, that drains into the river.
Harper's built that.
And the aerial deposition of nitrogen too, so, the wastewater plants can't do it all themselves. But, we're in a position now where I'm sure, and they're looking at the numbers, they see the improvement from what we're doing. So that's kudos to the lead agency's project as well as the employees who are vigilantly running this plant.
I just don't understand why the EPA doesn't have the same standard for each state.
They followed the federalism model that arose under the Obama administration, as you know. It was back in 2009.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really necessarily pushed that hard in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But, it's still there.
Yeah.
All right.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that included our correspondence too of it? What else do we have for correspondence?
Correspondence is we have the GHD status report for the IWPP. Discharge permit renewals for C.H. Thompson Metal Finishing and Triple Cities Metal Finishing. Notice of violation letter went out to Binghamton University for their excursions that they had. Major work efforts were on the 2020 annual solids report and the annual IWPP report, and second half 2020 PCR reviews. Ongoing work is the industrial discharge permit renewals for Amitech, All-Spec Finishing, and Binghamton University. Number of permitted users are 20. And status of fines, the only fine that's outstanding still to this day is Binghamton University with $2,750. And then on the other pages are the list of the permitted users and their
History,
Yeah.
their history.
Okay.
And also in your correspondence is the copy of the reappointment letter for board member Crum.
Okay,
Did you give him a press?
I did.
Did he what?
I was asking him
Can
whether
you
he got a
forward that
reappointment
to me,
letter, too.
because I've asked the clerk for it and I haven't gotten it.
Do you have a paper copy of mine?
No, I got
Okay.
it.
Have you, when's the last time you got one for Standish?
I haven't gotten one from Standish for 2016.
I know, from 2016.
You can ask him.
Yeah, I know.
All right, that's our new business, so we can go to that. Structure of board members, length of terms.
What do you want to know?
Well,
Did you want to bring that up?
well, yeah, I just want, I want Al to explain what he knows about it and what everybody, because there seems to be a lot of different things, and I believe a modification in 2013, which I guess I don't remember that the board voted on, but Al, can you tell board members are, what, appointed for 3 years?
Yeah. It's not the board doesn't get to vote on the appointments. It's in the IMA. The IMA says that board members is to be appointed for 3 years. It says a board member may be reappointed without term limits. Now that's the extent of what it says about appointments. Without term limits or 3 years.
No term limits, right?
That's in section 12, subdivision A.
It's like, you know, under the city or the city charter, the mayor can only serve 2 terms. That's a term limit. But there's no term limits on a board member, which means, you know, ostensibly somebody could serve for a long time. Like I was first appointed in January 2007.
But it's up at the discretion of the mayor.
Absolutely.
So if you get a new
Absolutely.
mayor, they could always change the term or ask you to.
No, I don't think he can change it. Oh, I mean, he can alter that after the first 3 years, am I correct? Am I thinking that way? They're appointed for 3 years the first time, then after that?
Appointed for 3 years, a board member may be reappointed without term limits.
Right.
But it's still a 3-year term.
It's a 3-year term.
Okay. So,
I mean,
your
that's
appointment
the
isn't
IMA.
real then?
I think it's real for 6 months. The reappointment.
So that's part of the IMA. A mayor either mayor can't change that. It's only the city and the village through the council or the board have to authorize any changes to that.
Changes to what? I mean,
To the language of the intermunicipal.
so
agreement.
when either mayor appoints someone, it has to be for the terms stipulated
In the agreement.
in the agreement. So it would have to be
3 years.
3 years, or, so whatever they write down doesn't matter at that point. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out.
Well, that's what we're asking.
I don't know, I mean, if it's something else, other than what's in the, agreement, it's not really authorized.
It's always been every, for 3 years. We have to be real.
But it's a staggered 3-year term, isn't it?
Lots of different.
Aren't they staggered 3-year terms
Well,
where,
originally they were, but not necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily be staggered.
right, if they don't continue to be staggered, then that whole thing will go.
Oh, yeah, go wacky. When they first started off with it, there was, one person was appointed 3 years, the other 2, and the other one 1 year, and then they got reappointed again, and of course, they went to 3 years because they were staggered between the 3 people.
Maybe they didn't reappoint.
But now it's all goofed up.
Right, like this,
And
these
the
are supposed to be 3
last
years.
I know, when I was in, you were appointed for 1 year.
I was, yeah.
Right, and
So he was appointed for
can't
6
be.
months.
yeah, 6 months from where? From the date that he was supposed to be appointed, or from today?
March 4th, I think, letter.
So what do we do to straighten this up? I mean, I'm confused.
Is your appointment up?
No, I just got reappointed, so I'm safe. I'm good for another 3 years.
So you just got reappointed this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got reappointed.
Yes, Johnson City
I'm sorry, I got
does,
appointed last year.
Johnson City does their reappointments in December. So they do it for the next coming year.
That makes sense.
And they
Ours
do,
are,
they do 3, 2, and 1.
But they're really, it's 3,
3.
because these other notations they put in their organizational meeting minutes are just noting the ongoing term that's
Terms.
continuing.
Right. Like, if we have to replace Ron, God forbid, that the mayor would turn around and appoint somebody to fill out his term,
Unexpired term.
unexpired, and then,
Well, I don't know if there's such a thing. It doesn't say that. It just says 3 years. So it's 3 years from when you begin. It doesn't say that there's
expired.
an unexpired term.
so that would take and jive everything up on whoever got appointed with it, that those two would be at large at the same year.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know.
And don't forget,
So it's not at
there
the-
was years that you didn't have a Binghamton board member for almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So is it at the discretion of the mayor at this point? Can it happen that way?
It's a term, the way I interpret it there.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I asked, at this point, it seems to be at the discretion of the mayors, the way they're appointing, so, I mean, is that fair that they do that, or it's unauthorized? I mean, what do you?
The only authority that the mayor has had is what it says right here in the intermunicipal agreement. It says 3 years. That's it. I mean, that's by agreement. So, so when Ed gets appointed for 6 months, I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
Yeah, maybe he's illegal.
Well, not yet.
Yeah, but we're accepting him. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I think there's a notion, which is not a binding legal precedent by any means, I'm sure, but there's a notion on the 4th floor of City Hall that the mayor can appoint for a part of a term or a full term or anything in between. You know,
Evidently, that's
I
what
mean, I
happened.
don't know what he did with your term or not.
Okay, my 1 year.
No, I got a 3-year term.
I thought you were appointed for 1 year.
I was.
Yeah.
I just got reappointed March 4th for 3.
I mean, I don't know what the precedent has been. It was always my understanding.
I
In
just-
the past, it's always been
I
a
just
3-year
emailed it
term.
to you.
Okay, thank you. Nobody knew it.
Yeah.
Don't downstairs.
So your vote didn't count because you weren't official here.
Well, it was in my iPad. It was in the room.
Okay.
And I got sworn in.
Yeah.
Just a paper clip. I don't.
I got sworn at it now,
Well, I can see that happening.
Place to put it.
Okay.
All right, so
So-
we'll have to address that. I guess maybe you should send some letters to both mayors, let them know that.
Do we have anybody in charge of rules committee, some chairman on that?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, we went through this alert notice. Anything for executive session?
Yeah, I actually have something.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a personnel issue.
Very good.
Okay.
Need a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session for personnel matters.
Second.